Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the all-new Honda Accord. Honda just released some new information on this Accord, and so now we get to dive into it. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this 11th generation Honda Accord. So first off, this is going to be a 2023 model year car, which is kind of surprising because Honda already has a bunch of 2023s on the ground. The new HR-V, the CR-V, and then stuff that they haven't redesigned, like the Ridgeline and the Odyssey. And so this is going to be kind of late to the game in their lineup as a 2023. That's why I thought it would be a 2024, but Honda says 2023. Now, aside from that, you guys can see the images in the video, completely new front end, and you guys probably noticed that it looks quite a bit like the new Civic. This is just Honda's new design language, and you know, I like it a lot. I like how the new Civic looks, and so this new Accord, it looks really good, just like the Civic. So yeah, the front end, I mean, especially like the daytime running lights and everything, they're a little bit different, but like, yeah, it looks like almost like a complete carryover from the Civic. Now, the back end is quite a bit different compared to the Civic with some of the sculpting, and then especially with the taillights. Now, the thing that I find pretty interesting about these taillights is they look somewhat similar to like the taillights on a Jetta, I feel like, except it's got that light bar, which is a little bit different. But again, I think the styling looks good. And then with the other photo, it's the infotainment screen. It's like a over 12-inch infotainment screen. And, you know, it's just Honda's newer infotainment screen. It works fine. It does have hybrid info there, which we will talk about the hybrid in a little bit. But they still have one flaw on this screen that they have on their other screens, like with the Civic, is they just have a volume control. They don't have like a tuner button. They need to like have both of those, because not having like a physical tuner button is just something that's really frustrating. Again, every single time I've had a Civic as a tester, that's the first thing that I'm like, I hate that. And then you can see the full digital gauge cluster. So again, a lot of the stuff that is in the Civic, they're just carrying over and throwing it into the Accord. So that means we're probably going to get like the mega vent across the dash in the Accord, just like the Civic with that, you know, honeycomb styling. So let me know if you guys like that design. And speaking of the interior, just like the Civic, they're really going to bring things up when it comes to the material use and just the overall interior design to make this car feel a lot more luxurious compared to the outgoing car, because that's what Honda's really focusing on right now. Honda has basically benchmarked Audi as what they kind of want to somewhat mimic. And so I shouldn't say mimic, but you guys know what I mean. And so yeah, this is going to have a lot more luxury touches to it. And then again, that's going to carry over to the exterior styling, and it's also going to carry over to the driving experience, because with the current generation Civic, the 2022 and above, it drives significantly different than the previous version. It's a lot more comfortable, it's a lot more refined, it just feels more like a luxury car compared to the previous generation. So this new Accord is definitely going to do that same thing, and even better, because, well, it's a longer wheelbase vehicle, and so it has that advantage. Now, when it comes to powertrains, Honda is super conservative, and so not a lot is going to change with the powertrains. We're still most likely going to get the 1.5 liter turbo as the base powertrain, and then we'll have the 2.0 turbo as the, you know, loaded up powertrain paired to the 10-speed automatic. And they're probably not going to increase the power outputs, because that's what they did with the Civic, is they basically just threw the same powertrains at it, and they didn't increase the power outputs, except for like the Type R has slightly more power. It's just what Honda does. It would be really cool to see an Accord with like 300 horsepower out of that 2.0 turbo, and they could definitely do that, because that powertrain in the Type R produces 315 horsepower now with the new generation, so they definitely have the ability to do that. Now, the big news is going to be with the hybrid powertrain. So in the new CR-V, it's a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder paired to a couple of electric motors, 204 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque. And so it has more power and torque compared to the previous version in the CR-V, and this is most likely what will happen with this new Accord, is we'll get this version of the powertrain with the hybrid system, because again, everyone's kind of focusing more on electrification. And so yeah, we'll have an Accord that'll have a decent amount of power and get great fuel economy. With the CR-V, this powertrain can be had with all-wheel drive. So we might also get an all-wheel drive Accord, which would make quite a bit of sense, because this is a huge gap for Honda. The fact that they do not sell an all-wheel drive Civic and an all-wheel drive Accord. Like, I mean, everyone is putting all-wheel drive in their cars because everyone's, going for crossovers and SUVs, and so it just makes sense to, keep a car relevant by adding all-wheel drive to it. So we'll see what happens. Again, Honda's still pretty conservative, and the new Civic doesn't have all-wheel drive at all, so there's a chance that might not happen, but let's just cross our fingers and hope it happens, and it'll just make Honda more competitive with Toyota because the Camry has all-wheel drive. Even though it's just with a 4-cylinder, you can still get it as an option. Now, as for my quick thoughts on this new Accord, when it comes to the styling, I'm, again, a big fan of this new type of styling on the Honda product. I think that every single vehicle that they've recently released is just amazing when it comes to styling, especially when you compare it to the previous generation. Look at the new CR-V, right? Really cleaned it up. It looks a whole lot better. The HR-V, I feel like that one is probably the biggest improvement compared to its previous version because it actually looks like a desirable vehicle now. And then the Honda Civic, same thing, right? Some people liked the crazier styling of the previous version of the Civic, but again, the new styling is a lot cleaner. And so doing the same thing with the Accord, it's really going to help out, but the Accord styling was already kind of cleaned up, and so this isn't going to be as much of a shift, I suppose. And then the other thing that I do like about this new styling is that it doesn't look as Acura-ish as it did before, because what it looked like Honda was doing is basically taking Acura's old styling and then putting it in with Honda's new product, and I don't know, it just kind of felt and looked weird, whereas now it feels like they've got their own design language going on, which I really appreciate. Now, when it comes to the actual power and performance, again, I really hope that Honda steps things up. Again, especially with the 2.0 turbo, I don't think the 1.5 liter needs a lot to happen with it because people that are buying, a base Accord, they just want something that's fuel efficient and reliable, and the 1.5 turbo can provide that. But with people that buy the 2.0 turbo, they want more power than what is offered right now, and they also most likely want all-wheel drive as well. And so if Honda can add those two things with this new Accord, I think that it'll help it sell really well, a lot better than it's currently selling, because again, there is a gap in the market with that. There's not a lot of reliable non-luxury cars that you can buy that have all-wheel drive and around 300 horsepower. So if they can accomplish those two things, which is again definitely within the realm of possibility for what Honda can do, I think that it would help them out quite substantially. And you'd see a lot of people that aren't Honda people that would go and buy Accords, right? I mean, just comment down below if you would buy an Accord with this new styling if it had all-wheel drive and around 300 horsepower. I think that would be a great commuter car. But that's going to sum things up for today's video. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this new Accord, if you are considering purchasing this new Accord, and what you want to see from Honda when it comes to the new Accord with features, powertrains, all of that. And I'll see you.